Perfect. All right, we are live. Awesome. So,
Okay.
James, I guess not everyone knows. So, you got the hat on, the Canada hockey. I got a little, Timmy's here,
I got
fellow
my.
Canadian, just around the corner. Cool, man. So, thanks for reaching out. Like James, for anyone who doesn't know, James and I are one of the few funnel side hustle army people that I've actually met. We actually met. We had a funnel kind of hackathon in Toronto almost a year ago now. It was like March or something of last
Yeah,
year.
the March to April. Yeah.
And perfect. So you are working on something big around traffic, right?
Yeah.
And I would love to hear more about it. Ask you a few questions. If we can dive into maybe some of the different types of traffic that you're going to cover, be fantastic.
Sure. Okay, Galen. Yeah, I finally I'm excited and I'm scared at the same time because I'm pushing the boundaries of my comfort zone here. So this is gonna be my first live training. It's about organic traffic. It's mostly on becoming the know, like, and trust character you're supposed to be, and it's supposed to be mostly Facebook traffic, because Facebook, I believe, Facebook traffic is where it's at. People get to know, like, and trust you the most there. You go live, people get to learn from you. You get interviews, people get to follow you on your interviews. You get people from other groups coming and seeing you in the events, and that's how you get more of a following. So I truly believe that Facebook is where it's at. I mean, Facebook groups is where it's at. So it's going to be based on mostly on Facebook groups. So
Okay.
under the 5 days, I'm going to assign a little bit of homework each day, and everyone that finishes the assignments will be eligible for a prize at each day.
Nice. And so, all right, perfect. So you're talking about Facebook groups, and obviously I'm a fan of Facebook groups. I've built this one from 0 to 1,000 over a couple months. And I agree, like Facebook groups seem to be Facebook even itself. The pages, I still have a page, I still use a page, but pages seems like they're dropping and groups are going up. And the thing I've learned in this group is when I'm consistent in this group, people are attracted to it. Like my natural audience, the algorithm figures out who belongs in here and they just start coming in. And at the heyday when I was going live every day and like really using this group, I was having I remember one day I think I had like 38 people join in one day, like asking permission to join. And so I grew this from 0 to 1,000, not knowing anything. So it's awesome that you, who actually have learned a lot about how to do this, I did it with no leadership, no nothing, from 0 to 1,000 in like 4 or 5 months. And it's a lot of fun. And last thing I'll say before I get you to talk a little bit about what organic traffic means is it's a great thing to, when you want to talk to an influencer, it's cool to tell them that you have an audience, that you have a group. And it doesn't take a ton to impress people. I feel like when I say to people, like, sometimes I think like, oh, my group's only got 1,000. But a lot of people, even big influencers, at least like the ones in my arena, they'll have groups with like 100 people. And maybe they have pages with like thousands of people, but the actual group only doesn't have that many people. And pages are okay, they're fine, but the group is where it's at. So if you can tell us a little bit about organic traffic, maybe give us a sample of an assignment that people will have to do when it starts, like make sure we know all about it.
Yeah, well, if you have a group, like, I finished up with a coach last month, and he only had 100 guys in his group, and he sold his coaching program to 25 of them. So, I mean, that's pretty good ratio. But I mean, everyone's engaged. That's the key. I mean, some people have a group of 4 or 5,000, and only 1,000 of them are engaged. What's the sense, right? Like, it doesn't matter as long as your members are engaged, and that's the key. So, 150 or 1,000 or 5,000, it doesn't. You just want your members to be engaged. So, but organic traffic, yeah, you're right. When you're making relationships out there and people start following you, that's organic. And when we first met, my first One Funnel Away challenge, that was back in January or February of last year. And I remember talking to you, and you joined my group, and so I joined it, and you had a book competition. And so then I was going in and I was talking to people and saying, yeah, this guy Galen, he's Canadian, and he's giving away he has a book competition for people that are giving away or referring people to his group. So and then the thing that got me, Galen, was the night that you wanted to stop off the airport on the way home from picking up your sister, and you wanted to come to my house and deliver the Dream 100 book to my house at like 11:30 at night. And I'm like, sure, we messaged each other, and that was great. I think we did a coaching call one time. But I was like, this guy lives 2 hours away from me, and to get off the highway, and I only live like 15 minutes off the highway, but then that would, and you stop and chat for a bit, that puts you like an hour behind, so I really appreciate the offer. And then I just realized that's the know, like, and trust factor. When someone's willing to give you that kind of value, that's amazing, right? And then you put the event together here in Toronto, and there was 10 of us. And I know I still talk to Brian Menzel, who I met that day.
Yeah.
First time, Brian. He helped me. He helped me with my computer twice, and he's a great guy. And
it's funny. I had forgotten about that, and it's really funny what you're saying is that and it was fun. Like, I ran those contests, and people were inviting people, and it was like I'd put in the questions, like, make sure you tell me who, and I had like a spreadsheet going. And then another time I had a raffle. It was like whoever got the most, they got a prize, and of anyone who invited anyone, I would do a raffle, and they would give away stuff like Dream 100 book. I think you won at least once, if not twice. I
won twice. Yeah, I won twice.
I shipped a black box. Roastal Bunce's black box. I sent one of those to Australia. That cost a bit of money to ship it out there. But yeah, I remember the Dream 100 book. I felt bad because I wanted them to ship it straight to you, and they messed up and they sent it to me. And actually, when they did that, I told Dana they did it, and that's part of how I got him on my podcast. Was I was like, hey man, you guys messed up my shipment. How about you be on my podcast to make up for it? But anyways, yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and man, yeah. So I'm glad you reminded me of all that. Yeah, and then they get together in Toronto. So it's so true, like the know, like, and trust, like in the sense that when I listen to podcasts, if I listen to someone's podcast 2, 3, 4 times, I feel like I already know them. Yes. And in a group, it's the same way, right? Like, I mean, even before we met, it felt like we knew each other, and that adding of value, I think it's really amazing that, like, I don't think it's easier to stand out in the crowd when you're adding when you just really care about people and you're adding value. And I'm not trying to trash anyone, but not everyone's doing that. And it doesn't take a ton. Like, I basically did the OFA once, and then I opened this group because I was in a couple groups, and the people that were running the groups, it was okay, but I didn't feel like they were adding a ton of value. And so I turned around and taught people key components of it, key components I'd learned through reading the books, key components that I felt weren't being covered. And people reaching out to me, people were answering my emails saying, Galen, thank you so much. And I have a teaching background. I have a lot of fun teaching. And building that know, like, and trust of people being very excited to be on my podcast to help me with stuff. So can you give us an example of like one of those homework assignments? Like, if you can give us a little sneak peek into like, okay, day one, people come, like, what's one thing you're going to have to do to kind of like keep up with this? It's a 5-day challenge, you said?
It's a 5-day challenge.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, as we know, in the one funnel away, people dropped off at the publishing part. And I strongly believe you have to be in front of the camera in order for people to know, like, and trust you. As even, we both have podcasts. And when I launched my podcast, I was the first course I actually finished, Jamie Atkinson's podcast, Profit Lab. I mean, his accountability was amazing in that group, which made it even better. But you're right. You can still listen to someone and get to know that you feel like you know them by listening to them a lot. But when you see somebody on camera, it's so much different, right? So you watch YouTube videos, you watch Facebook videos, it's so much better. It's in depth, right? So I feel that you have to do a Facebook video, and it's like you did your one funnel away recaps. I did them in my group for a while too, and you do interviews in your groups, and that's when be one of the assignments is you're going to have to go live in the group. And I've told people in a few different groups that, sometimes people are afraid of going live on their personal page, and that's fine. I mean, people don't want to get comments from their friends or their parents and say, what are you doing? Like, why? And I had that too. Like, why are you going live? Why are you talking about this? And I remember the first time I did my origin story, and I was starting to cry because I was dealing with depression at the time, and I just lost 3 friends in 4 weeks, and it was horrible. And I couldn't hold back the tears. And my phone was ringing off the hook like within an hour. Like my mom was calling me, brother was calling, my sister-in-law, everyone was calling me. Like, but I said, you guys know I'm doing this internet thing, and this is part of it, right? And you got to show people that you're real, and that's the way people get to know, like, and trust you. And I mean, but when you're in a group, it's a safe community. Like in my Financial Freedom for Fathers group, I mean, I just kicked out all the women there the other week, and they're all supportive of the decision. They realize, okay, it's just a group for guys. And so I'm encouraging the guys just to talk guy stuff. We will talk finances and talk about multiple income streams and stuff like that. And I'll have guys come in and teach us stuff. But when you're in a group, people feel more safe to go live compared to on their profile page, because they don't want their friends and family to see them do, or their boss from work, or someone coworkers or something, right? So but yeah, so in the challenge, that's what one of the homeworks will be, is to go live. But people, again, like, so if you're afraid or you don't know what to say, people do FaceTime with people all the time on their phones. Like you can do that, like practice that way, practice in a mirror, practice with your phone off. And people also say, well, what do I talk about? And I mean, I said that too at first, but I just talk about whatever. I mean, I talk about my kids. I talk about what I did at work, lessons you learned throughout life. Like, it doesn't always have to be business oriented. And then you tie later on, when you get comfortable with telling your stories, then you tie it into a business related thing. And that's, you just get more comfortable. And a lady, I mean, if anyone has followed me, you would see my page a couple days ago. There's a lady from South Africa. She messaged me a couple months ago, because we're in the OGAC together, and she's seen that I was going to Funnel Hacking Live. And so she wrote me a message asking to have some Amazon computer parts delivered to my house, and if I could bring them down to Funnel Hacking Live, because they don't deliver to where she was in Africa. And I was just floored. I couldn't believe it. I was like so honored that someone that I've never had a message with before, and never had contact. I didn't even think this lady commented on any of my lives. I've seen a couple of her videos, but so I messaged her back and I said, Lucia, why me? And she goes, James, I watch Facebook videos with the volume off, and I just feel that I can trust you. And then when I watch the videos with the volume on, I see what you're talking about, and I just feel that. And I joked with her. I said, it must be a Canadian thing. So, and she just said, no. Awesome. And then she said, well, she's making a vacation out of it, and they're going to Disneyland, and they delivered to the hotel at Disneyland. And I said, yeah, because I was only 75% sure if I was going to Funnel Hacking.
Right.
So that's that was just amazing. And then she did the video testimonial, and it just blew me away. So.
Yeah, I saw that video testimonial, and I think and that's so you touched on a few things there. One about going live. One of the amazing things I've shared this in the group a lot is that I was really terrified of going live. So first off, you talked about the OFA. So one funnel way challenge, the first week is belief, and then it's like publish, and then it's like hook story offer, and then da. And I remember watching like the number, like so I did the first OFA of all of them. I like the first three, and then I think I skipped one. But anyways, I did the first one. And for whatever reason, I was really compelled to track the numbers of how many people watched each video. And so what I would do is exactly 24 hours after the video was the link was sent, I would see how many people had watched it 24 hours later. And I tracked it. And I don't know why I did this. I did it sort of as a self-checking. I was like, I'm going to be someone who finishes, right? And the numbers just went like this, And so it was those things, like publish is a big one. Anyway, so I wasn't publishing. I was like, well, I'll get around to it. I'll do like a 30-day challenge next year or whatever. And then one day, so I'm walking down and I'm like, oh, I need a better webcam. I need to figure out how to hook up my DSLR camera. I need to figure out like the lighting. I need to figure out my backdrop. And then one day I'm walking down the street and I was like, you know what, F this. I pulled out my phone and I just went live, and people commenting, people were responding. And I think of it as a life lesson. Like, what I needed all along was already with me, my phone. And the only thing that was keeping me from going live was what's in my head, like of being judged, of people making fun of me, of what am I going to say, of how do I look, all that stuff. And I went live, and when I went live, I'm not saying it's easy every time. Like there's still topics that it's hard for me to go live about, or there's still certain places where it's hard for me to go live. But the idea of going live and sharing stuff is no longer as scary. And like that's how I got to where I am with my podcast. Like in my podcast now, I try to go live with if the guest is okay with it, we go live so that people can see it. I have a lot more fun doing everything live because the last thing I'll say is like I'm a perfectionist, and if I go live, I don't edit it. Like I just
Yeah.
like if I like the other day I was upstairs recording a video. So I gave a talk a couple months ago. It went really well. I recorded it, but the recording came out pretty bad. Like the angle was all wrong. The battery died on my laptop. All these problems. So now I'm gonna have someone with a camera doing that work for me while I'm talking from now on. But anyways, so I went back. I was like, oh, I can't release this. I'm gonna reshoot it. So I go upstairs with my whiteboard. I turn on my camera. It's about finance, and I did like 10 takes of the first 2 minutes because I was recording it. And I'm like, oh, I need to fix this, need to fix that. And my wife was upstairs working at her desk. And she's like, yeah, I had to put on some headphones because I got so sick of hearing you say the same thing over and over again, like starting. And I kept stopping myself. So going live speeds things up immensely because you can take it like, I mean, you know how to, like, you can take the video, a live video. You can download it from Facebook. You can put it on YouTube. You can rip the audio. You can do a transcript. YouTube does transcripts automatically. Like it's for me, it's the easiest way to multi-purpose content is to go live in a Facebook group because that can be turned into a podcast, a blog post, a YouTube video. Like everything can be made out of that one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure. And nothing better than authentic. Like when you're real, like, I mean, I've gotten more comments for I've done a few videos of after I take the kids to school and I've showed people
Yeah.
what my living room like and my kitchen's like, and people have commented on that saying, thank you for being real, James. And because I mean, it drives me. I got a few friends that will take pictures only when their house is clean. And like, I have no problem with, it's Christmas and it's
Sure.
Thanksgiving and their kids are perfectly done. And that's fine, but it's all the time. Like it's an Instagram photo, right? It's life ain't perfect and don't pretend it is.
Yeah.
So,
no,
but I got, and I had a nice interview with
Yeah.
Kathy Wells there last week and she said the same thing. She posted something that she put conditioner in her hair 3 times because she had so many things on her mind. She just wasn't even paying attention. And I said, yeah, that's, she gets all kinds of comments with things like that. So you have to be real and people can relate to those things, right? Like you start talking about your everyday life, then people can relate better to that than if you're talking, so if Galen, if you start talking high finance and mutual funds and stocks, there's going to be some of your crowd that understands it, but a lot of people probably won't. Right. So, that depends on the group. Right. But if you talk other stuff, funnels and, normal day stuff, people will understand that more. So that's why you have to build that knowledge and trust factor.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think people are craving authenticity online. I did a post on LinkedIn the other day. I never go on LinkedIn partially because I feel like it's, of all the platforms, I feel like it's one of the most inauthentic. Everyone brags about their job until the day they quit on LinkedIn, as far as I'm concerned. I posted my wins because I was like really beating myself up about a month ago. The year was winding up. I'm like, I didn't sell enough journals. I didn't do enough of this. I didn't do enough that. I didn't grow my group, yada, yada. And I finally just took a minute to look at all the wins I'd had. I'd gotten my certified financial planner designation. I'd done a couple triathlons. I mean, not a really enough, but I was really beating myself up for it. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to post this. Maybe people can relate to like this, beating yourself up, and put it on LinkedIn. I never put anything on LinkedIn. I got 2,000 views in like 4 days.
Wow.
And I don't even know who's seeing it. Because I think I have maybe 300 contacts on LinkedIn. I don't know if someone shared it, like people are commenting on it. And that's the thing, like the same thing with my finance Instagram account. Like I mostly post stuff about life, but like I do stuff about finance in there so people learn. And I did a post. It was a selfie of me and a dog. My kids take music at this place around the corner, and there's this cute little rescue Chihuahua named Buck, who's always wearing like a little sweater. He's like a cute little dog. And he's on my lap. I'm taking a picture, and he happens to yawn right when I'm taking the picture. So I opened my mouth too, and I was like, Buck, whatever. And, within an hour, Instagram sends me the thing, and it's like, this is performing 95% better than everything else you do. Would you like to boost this or whatever? And I didn't, but I was like, yeah, it's what people want. People want to see the real world and what's actually going on. So, so before we wrap it up, I want to make sure everyone's I'm going to write it in the comments too. What is the challenge? Like, what are all the details of the challenge that people need to know about? Where do people sign in? Where do people
So
sign up for that?
on my profile page, James M. Johnson, if you click on either the main profile picture at the top or my side picture, you'll come across the link and it'll lead you to the page. Actually, it's a funnel, and then it'll lead you into the page. And then once
When
you're
is the challenge?
it's starting on Monday, and I haven't determined the times yet. I'm thinking I
Got it.
might go at noon. I'm not sure. And to grow the group and to give out nice overvalue there, anyone that invites 3 people into the group that are interested in the challenge, not just like your mom and dad, I'm going to give them the six whole videos from the trainings for free. Because after
Cool.
Tuesday, like the following Tuesday, I will be taking them down. So
Got it.
yeah, so it's gonna be 5 days of training,
Cool.
and then the 6th day will be a Q&A. I'll take all the questions and see which ones were asked the most, and then I'll do a Q&A on either Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, and I'll post that up, and then we'll go live with the Q&A because people always have questions. I mean, I'll do questions and answers while I'm teaching, but I'll sit down one day and just do the questions and answers. So, I mean, I've learned so much in the
Perfect.
past 4 months that, I mean, I just want to get it out there. I want to start giving back. So,
Oh man.
that's the thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing, and it's just it's phenomenal. And I mean, you're definitely. I'm amazed at how consistent you've been with going live and how consistent you've been creating a podcast, like really in action. It's really awesome, and the idea of taking what you've learned and turning around and helping others is also phenomenal. Like it's like icing on the cake, like learning something and then teaching it to other people. It's just so much fun. So I'm going to put in a comment. I'm going to hit the comment right now. I'm going to add it right here so it'll show up on the screen. Go to your profile page, get the link to the 5-day challenge next week, Monday through Friday. And I put it in the comments so people know exactly where to find you.
Great.
Perfect, man.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you had me on. It's been a while since I've been in this group. It's been a long time. Like
Yeah.
I've been in so many other groups, and that's the thing. Like you got to and that's the thing. We all get shiny object syndrome, and as a new entrepreneur, I mean, I've probably spent $20,000 on different courses and coaches, and that's Canadian dollars. So, but yeah, once I got dialed in, like at the end of the summer, I knew what I wanted to do, and I focused in on the podcast and the groups, and I hired a couple of good coaches, and now I'm more focused. So everyone needs a good coach and get focused in here. So yeah,
absolutely.
Great. Thanks for having me on, Galen.
Sure thing, man. Take care.
All right. Thanks.